Hi, everybody. Good morning to Conversations with Anasa. So happy to see you guys. So let's start with meditation. Take your attention inside, down below your belly button. Breathe through your mouth into that space. And feel into your connectedness to that which doesn't change. And that which doesn't change we'll describe as a stillness that has incredible potency within it. In Hindu spiritual practices, it's the stillness, the space between the breaths, which is the union of Shiva and Shakti. Yeah. Shakti is the potency and Shiva is the stillness. Allow your energy and your awareness to travel down below the earth. We are of the earth. And although our journey inward ultimately frees us from being earthbound, it is not in our highest best interests or in the sequence of the path to deny ourselves as human beings made fundamentally. Everything physical about us is of the earth. And it is only in acceptance and complete understanding of that we can be freed to experience ourselves as pure spirit as well. The spirit is the animating force, which is this potent stillness. When you're ready, allow your attention to rise to the tip of the tailbone, which is our root center. Sexuality, sensuality, and safety. Feel for the space between the breaths in this energy center. When you're ready, allow your energy to come up to the diaphragm, the energy center in the solar plexus, just underneath the sternum, which is the breastbone. So you feel in your body to the where the breastbone ends at the bottom, and just below that is the solar plexus. The energy center that we notice most when we get the wind knocked out of us. Some shock comes in. So it's a good time to breathe into that center with the idea of releasing any shock, drama, or trauma that might be held there. And at this point, you can add the white light to the breath. That you're filling your body with white light. Feeling into the heart center in the middle of your chest. Bring your attention there. Breathe in the white light. Feel for the stillness. Breathe into the center of your throat. Feel the white light releasing anything and everything. And then as we breathe into the third eye, make a slit with your eyes so that you can see the tip of your nose or sense where it is. You don't have to actually see it, but you want to let the light in. Breathe that light up to the magnetic point that becomes very strong when you feel that line from the tip of your nose to the third eye. Breathe in the white light and feel for the stillness in the third eye. And that magnetic center is like a plane of energetic awareness. As you feel into it loses its sense of location in the forehead and sort of expands to involve the entire third eye space. And see the white light there. Now inhale that whole white light through all your body, every cell of your body. And we can begin practicing the exhale of bringing in the darkness from the tip of the tailbone up and out the top of the head. And as we focus on this practice, we feel our attention between the thoughts so that we aren't engaging any thoughts that might pass by as we practice. We'll continue this practice for a few minutes as you breathe in the light and exhale the darkness. And you may notice that every breath becomes like a mini death and rebirth. Rebirth as we breathe in the light, and death as we exhale the dark. So we're getting used to the idea of life as a continuous renewing process. With death and rebirth as part of every cycle in our beingness, in every dimension of our lives. Every experience has that within it. And as we learn to track those experiences in ourselves, we begin to understand the purpose of our lives as being engaged in an evolutionary process, which brings us ever more into the awareness of ourselves as divine beings. powered by source energy. That we have very little control over. But our awareness can bring us into alignment with it, so that in every aspect of our lives, we stop fighting. When you're ready, feel where you are in this moment. And without changing that, gently begin to open your eyes, feeling what it is to be in your deepest self with your eyes open. Ah, welcome. How may we serve today? What's up with everybody? Yes.
So I'm starting to get a clue that somehow I'm a very highly paid secret agent of the Galactic Intelligence Service, and my highly paid because I get a whole life of my very own out of this deal, and my mission is to observe what's going on and report back. And the reportage is instantaneous because my camera's plugged in. And so the universe sees everything I see and hears everything I hear. And how is it that as I reach the end of my life, I'm just getting a clue as to how I've been in service all these years as an observer and participant? My gratitude is starting to overflow. I guess that's it. I just am starting to be amazed every day at what's going on.
Do you mind saying more about that? Because it's really intriguing.
Well, it's just for the most part, I think it's personal, and I'm not aware that I'm in service. But sometimes when I'm interacting with my mate or walking around the garden and being amazed at what's going on because it's spring and holy crap, look at all this happening. Just a ride into town is mind blowing with all the trees in bloom, and I guess the gratitude is almost overwhelming sometimes. It's wow, how did I get this job? I didn't even know that I signed up. One of the biggies is when I go online and look at the images from the space telescope and go way out and realize that it's like dandelion puffs. The galaxies are sprinkled like an explosion of dandelion, and it's just way out there. I Every once in a while I just melt in amazement that I'm alive and I'm on this planet as an observer, and the suffering is immense. I wonder what that's for, but the joy is incredible. I guess that's it for now.
That's wonderful. We're going to build on that a little bit because what we're thinking about a lot these days is what happens when we die. And there is coming to acknowledgement the idea that it's possible to have a conscious death, and that if one can be totally relaxed and in a state of conscious awareness, that one can be present for the entire death experience, which is, we're guessing, the most ecstatic experience available to a human being when it happens in that way. So we're working on how to articulate a practice that can make that accessible. And you are well on the way to that experience, to having it just happen, because you're having it happen every day. And it's just it it's being so familiar in that experience that that's what you reach to in your last moments, is that joy, that expansion, that awareness. That's conscious awareness. And you're understanding that you have a choice about being in that experience. So we're delighted. That is a fantastic report and exactly what we're hoping to bring. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, it's a delight. And I wanted to that sparked something I found in the Egyptian Book of the Dead that you may have heard already, but it's, we now return our souls to the Creator. And as we stand on the edge of eternal darkness, we lift our voices so that others may hear. In the land of the night, the ship of the sun is drawn by the grateful dead.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Hmm. We don't have anything to add to that. Beautifully spoken. How may we serve further? Andrew, anything? Mhm. He's the only one I call on. Yes. We can't hear you. Your sound's not on.
There.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that was great, Wells. Yep. You've always had a good solid foot in the cosmos in my experience. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. On a down to earth matter, um, my daughter is having health problems. My just wonderful, vibrant, she's just a wonderful spirit and person. And it pains me that she's having such health problems. She's a chiropractor, and she's hooked into health. She's a dancer, but she's really struggling right now. You can't see it because she always maintains her good spirit. But I know, and so I would like to send out a prayer to her from us.
Can you give us her first name?
Cami.
Tammy.
Cami with a C.
Cammy with a C. C-A-M-M-Y.
Cammi.
C-A-M-M-I. Okay, we've got the image. So let's all go to the Inasa temple and wish her well. Whatever is in the highest for her, we wish for that. And we offer our total love and support in whatever energetic way that can benefit her in this time and all times going forward and backward throughout time and space. And we can feel how that ripples back to us like a mirror. What we send out is immediately sent back to us. Have you noticed as you look at the trees with expanded awareness and you love their energy, that comes right back to you? This is a principle, one of the principles of the logic of love. And it's enough just to understand that it's nonlinear. And that's as much as our brains can wrap around it. But it's the foundation of that saying, what goes around comes around. it also goes to the understanding of how it is that we create our own reality. Mm. That was pretty wonderful. Mm. We're so happy to be with you. What else? Yes.
So I was not aware of the seriousness of Cammie's problems. I just have to add that she is one of the most bright, beautiful, radiant, loving beings that I know. And I just want to put it out there that I really wish the highest and best for her. We need her on the planet, really, at this time, especially. She's a healer and kind of a goddess in a way, in a very humble way. Um, the other most amazing person that I know is our son, who is also a healer type, if you will, and a loving being, who is going through really serious health challenges as well. Which brings up the question, we have one other offspring in that generation, and that's our daughter. So the three of them actually grew up together. Our daughter is having more emotional, psychological challenges at this point, not so much physical. But the two bright lights in the next generation seem to be
Wounded.
Yeah, facing this with good cheer in a way, but I still have questions about what's going on with that. Why this next generation is having so many challenges, it seems.
Well, the obvious answer is that our planet is in distress. Our food supply is completely corrupted and not nearly as nutritious as it was when we were children. And our water supply is corrupted and getting less and less over time. And much of the water that the next generation has available is in plastic. So they are, consumed with the microplastics that they've consumed over their lifetime, which didn't even exist when we were born. And so there's the pollution that has happened to our food supply, our air, which has much less oxygen than it used to, and water. These are the fundamental life sources. And so no matter how hard we try to take care of ourselves in those arenas, people are compromised, and people younger than us didn't have the foundation of nutrition that we have or had. And so their bodies are made of different substances than ours, and they don't work so well with human metabolism. Much of what we've created from the oil we've taken out of the earth, we've used to destroy our own health. And so things are wildly out of balance, wildly. And it may mean the ultimate destruction of humanity. And, what increasingly looks like a narrower and narrower window. And it's happened before. And there have been catastrophic events that have destroyed the environment and created another environment. The oxygen that we live in at this time was not always on this planet. Before that, we don't have the scientific knowledge to know what was here before that, but it was a completely different living space. So from the big picture, that's what we would say in a global way, what's going on with people having, and the health challenges from our perspective are becoming more and more vague in their presentations. They aren't so until they get a name. And in Western medicine, naming something is the same thing as knowing what it is. But all that knowledge and all the what we call healthcare in the allopathic system is based on substances that don't have anything to do with nature. And so what we call healthcare, all these patent medicines, if something exists in nature, it cannot be patented. So every medicine out there with a patent has nothing to do with how our body works. It has to do with some imitation that somebody can make money from. And so the whole system is corrupt and has nothing to do with health. There's not even a definition of health in our healthcare system, except for the absence of disease, which is no definition at all. And so, we know that health is an energetic event that happens from connection to source. But there are all kinds of physical, what we would call as metabolic interrupters at this point that exist in our environment that make life difficult, depending on, what kind of genetic structure we're born with and what our capacity is to mitigate the stresses that are constantly on our systems, because we're, globally so out of touch with the creative intelligence of the earth and its connection to us and our connection to it. We are, as human beings, as a society, our priorities are all in other places. And so these deep connections that normally tribal people would have and live from, and that's sort of how we evolved on this planet, they're gone. We don't have those connections naturally anymore. We have to recreate them in the ways that we're doing that on this program because they're no longer natural to us. And so it's that people are getting sick is not a statement about their own personal awareness. It's a statement about the deterioration of the connection that humanity has with Source. And so people who are more sensitive are more sensitive. And so they get hurt sooner, or they manifest the consequences of this global disconnection sooner than people who are, just sort of plasticized in a way that they don't feel anything.
I have an observation. Cami is a good example of someone who has done immense research and takes care of herself, what she puts into her body, how she treats her body. She is one of the most robust humans that I know. And my question is about if she is feeling the effects of the times we live in, the global malaise, what hope is there for anybody else in the coming generations? Because, I mean, she is an example of someone who's been paying attention for her whole adult life.
Having been connected to many people whose lives are like that, because Andrew and I are both alternative medical practitioners, we can't speak directly to her because we have never met her. And although we can see the quality of her energetic field, we don't really have the information to say anything specific to her. But it is our observation that people who are taking care of themselves very, very well can sometimes be more sensitive to the toxins in the environment and react more to more superficial doses, to smaller doses of things because of that sensitivity they have cultivated. So it's very hard to say on the spectrum of talking about it in this global way, which we've chosen rather than to be specific because we don't really know what her health problems are. And there's also the whole, there's so many factors that go into why a person gets sick, most of which we have no control over and no knowledge of, no language for. And so it's way more complicated than just what we put in our bodies and how we treat ourselves. All of us are making the best of a bad situation. And so how that balances out on the individual person. And, there's underlying this question is why bad things happen to good people. And the answer to that does not lie in this linear dimension of experience. It's way bigger than that. And we can just make the observation that it does. Bad things do happen to good people. Nobody gets out of here alive, and we all have challenges. And so accepting that we all have challenges and supporting each other as they arise in whatever ways we can is really our best the best way we have of dealing with this. And as we cultivate our relationship with infinite resource, then we make that available to everybody else. And that's the best we can do. And, it is not linear what happens to any of us or the life that comes to us. But we do want you to understand that the life we attract is the life that has been given to us to allow us to meet the challenges. Well, let's say differently, when we use our connection to ultimate resource to meet the challenges that come in our lives directly and become creative artists in how we manage to bring those around us toward love as much as is possible for us. That's always our intention. And whether or not we are successful, we know is not up to us. But when we are engaged in the maximizing of opportunity for creative evolution in our approach to the circumstances around us, accepting them as the challenges we have been given rather than, choosing to live the life we think we deserve and, blowing up our situation and creating a new one, that accepting what we've been given and maximizing its potential, which will attract to us wildly beyond what we think we deserve in meeting those challenges from the inside rather than trying to manage our circumstances to create what we think is a different situation that will give us a different result. And we're not talking to anybody specific on this call. This is just coming through us. This is not something personal. This is sort of a global attitude to bring to our lives. And, we're thinking of someone we saw recently who was about to create a divorce situation without having attempted to resolve the situation and look at what was possible in terms of creative solution. And so we welcome your questions about this, but this is what we want you to know about how to generally approach the difficulties we find with the people in our lives. And sometimes, as we've discussed before, the only creative option is to discontinue contact in this dimension and only relate through the Anasa temple in the relationships that we can't serve because it doesn't help us or them. It just makes the situation worse, especially for us. So we wanted to express that as a sort of global framework to maintain our creative evolution through the difficulties. that we experience, and all of us have difficulties. And we're all going to have health problems, which doesn't mean that's not a curse. It's the truth. And there's a deeper truth in that, and that is that when we are connected to the highest, the way we experience those challenges can be somewhat mitigated by that contact. At the same time, we are constantly telling Rebecca that it is possible, it is our matrix of belief that we must degenerate and deteriorate as we face death, that makes that the inevitable outcome. And if we can reorder our matrix of belief, it's possible to walk up to death in a state of health. So when we talk about health, what are we talking about? We're talking about the greatest possible range of motion in every dimension, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. That's available to a human being given our circumstances of the moment.
Little songs come to me every once in a while, and they're almost always appropriate. The one that's happening recently is I want to live, live, live until I die.
Perfect. Perfect.
What you brought up just a minute ago about sometimes the best thing to do is to keep still and not keep trying to initiate things. With our daughter, that's the case. And because she actually has cut off all means of communication except for texts and emails, which I do not do. So I don't really feel their conversations. I feel their notifications. Texts and emails are notifications. But so this week I've noticed that since I can't have a conversation with her or even write her, um, I'm only able to connect with her at the Anasa temple. And that has given me a great deal of feeling of empathy towards her. You know, I get to hear where she's really coming from, what she might really want. And I support that totally. But meanwhile, when I'm doing my day, all these thoughts, I'm having a conversation with her in my head. And I was going to talk about that today because it's kind of annoying. It takes up too much space. And I would like it to stop, but I can't make it stop.
So this is a really good question. How do we redirect our mind when it's chosen an obsessive path that no longer serves? We all have this issue from time to time, sometimes on a daily basis. And there are several things to do. One of them, which a lot of spiritual practices advocate, is saying mantra. that works, but it's kind of a spiritual bypass because you're not really addressing the issue. You're just covering it up by saying something else. So the real thing is that you have energy that you, in a very deep way, will say, want to express to your daughter. And you want to express it from a point of view that has never helped the situation. It hasn't worked. And so when you really understand that that doesn't work, you, every time it comes up, say, this doesn't work, and you drop it. You just completely drop it. You say, this doesn't work, to that voice, until the part of you that really understands that this doesn't work, it's never worked, and it's never going to work, lets go. That is the real solution. That you just acknowledge the truth. This doesn't work. And it will go faster than you can imagine. As soon as you really accept that this doesn't work. But if it still continues, you can do mantra. And you can intermittently say, I know this doesn't work, but it's still not going away, so I'm going to do mantra, which is, you know, you can say the Mrityunjaya mantra, which is the mantra for enlightenment, so that you're taking that energy and using it as energy for your enlightenment. That's the Triambakam Yijamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukamiva Bandhana Mrityur Mukshivamamrutata. That's on YouTube, on the internet, if you ever want to learn it. Do you know how to spell it, Brenda?
The
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah. If you could
Yeah.
put that up, she'll post it. And that way, if you want to learn that mantra, you can, because it's a great thing to say, because you know you are putting energy toward this conscious awareness as we die. And so that's a practice to do. And I personally often do that if I have a repetitive thought that's driving me crazy. That there is, you know, nothing to do but leave it alone. But
Our Father gave us a real gift. It's a kind of a mantra. It's very short, and it's God is love. And as a child, we just said that when things were happening that were distressing in any way. And I do that still. It's kind of, that's what comes up. And it does work.
mhm.
Uh, Temporarily, and then the thoughts come back. And really, I understand that the thoughts are just my way of having a communication with our daughter that I feel is blocked in any other way. And I appreciate the one-sided conversation in a way, because I get to hear what it is that I would say to her and correct any mistakes in my outlook. So in a way, it's like, if there is a time when I get to speak with her, I can come from a place of accepting and love. And
As long as that's what
anyway,
you're sending, you know, as long as what you're sending is the wish for the highest best for her, then that's okay. That's okay. That's the truth.
Well, now that wish is for all of our children, our our three children.
Yeah.
They all deserve that, I
And
think.
everybody else we're connected to. Everybody. This is our wish for the whole. And that way we've covered all our bases. And that's what our life becomes about. And all of us have things that occupy our time that you know we must do as part of our living our life. But our fundamental purpose is to cultivate this living from the highest as much as possible.
Thank you.
And living the life we have, not the life we think we deserve. You know, just personally, I had a really interesting experience. Recently, I went to buy clothes, which I don't often do. And I you know wanted to buy clothes for cello performing that are a little bit spiffier than what I usually wear. That and because I'm the only female in our group, I can pretty much wear what I want. If I want to wear something colorful, I can, and the guys can wear black. And and so it was very interesting. There was a subtle shift that happened this time. Always when I've gone shopping before, I'm conscious of the weight that I want to be, that I think I should be. And so when I buy clothes, I always have this discussion with myself, well, you know, when I lose 10 or 15 pounds, will this still work? And I end up buying clothes that I'm not really happy with. And this time I said, I'm going to buy clothes for the body I have. And so it was a very subtle change in how I went about choosing what to buy. But I walked away with clothes that I really like, that fit, that make me look good in this body at this moment. And it was a completely different experience from thinking that I was buying clothes for the body that I think I deserve, that I will have in the future, that hasn't never yet. You know, so it's just, you know, we do this to ourselves in all kinds of arenas. And this is just a personal demonstration of how it kind of it distorts our reality to the point that we end up behaving based on what we think we deserve or should be able to accomplish rather than what is real in the moment. And you know, it's a fairly simple adjustment, but it's something we all do. And that's just a common arena for me. We all have them. And so this is sort of the theme that Anasa has been coming through a lot with recently is, you know, live the life you have, not the one you think you deserve. And if you can bring everything in your life inside you to love, that's the accomplishment. And too often we judge ourselves on the reflection of what comes back to us rather than on what we are trying to create within ourselves. And so then we end up confused. What we're responsible for is what comes out of us, and that's plenty. What else? Okay, maybe it's time to meditate again. We've so enjoyed being with you today. It's amazing and wonderful every time, and we never have any prediction or expectation before we start. It's so magical. Thank you. So let's sit a little bit. Mm. Thank you so much for being here today. Mm. We've totally enjoyed being with you. Till next time, bye for now.